welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We are really excited to bring you our next episode of On Friendship. This is really fun. We are here to talk about Christmas Under Wraps. It's going to be very excited. This was voted on by our Twitter feed. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Lisa's here.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for voting. I love when the people get to speak.
Yeah, make sure you're following us at Hallmarkies Pod on Twitter so that you can be part of when we have polls and other fun stuff. And what you might not know, Elisa,
Yes,
is that this movie is the highest rated Hallmark movie as far as ratings ever.
What?
Number one.
Whoa.
So I'm not really surprised that it won the poll because it's very well loved and very popular.
Y'all,
Yes.
I learn something new every episode.
Yeah. This movie, I think it is a very kind of classic Hallmark Christmas movie.
Yes.
If you think about what a Hallmark Christmas movie is, this kind of checks all of the boxes.
Yeah. Are you sure what's the one with Jesse Metcalf in it, the country one? That isn't the highest rated? Or wait, you're talking Christmas movies only.
Just okay. Christmas.
Okay.
So
the top... no Cookie Crawl. The Cookie Crawl.
No Cookie Crawl. I know.
It beat out the Cookie Crawl. Okay.
I know. Okay. Yeah. And so you have in the top 5 of all time, according to Wikipedia. So you have Christmas Under Wraps, starring Candace Cameron Bure. Then you have Switched for Christmas, starring Candace Cameron Bure. And then number 3 is The Christmas Train, which was the Hall of Fame and had a bunch of stars. Number 4 is Journey Back to Christmas, starring Candace Cameron Bure.
I should have guessed.
And number 5 is A Christmas Detour, starring Candace Cameron Bure.
Amazing. And when we were doing the rankings, I was all like, why haven't we done a Candace Cameron Bure movie? And seriously, 4 out of the 5?
Yeah.
Dang.
So it was too late coming. I mean, it really was. But yeah,
excited.
So she is the queen of Hallmark for a reason.
I love it. I love her. And I've seen one of the 4 top 5.
Yeah.
We'll have to work on the other 4.
Yeah. Well, I think I like this one. I really do also like A Christmas Detour. Journey Back to Christmas is kind of bonkers. I kind of like it because it's so weird. It's excuse me. It's about she time travels from the 1940s to modern time on a comet. Yeah. It's true.
Amazing. Okay, yes. That is bonkers. Okay, that's the next one. Bonus episode. Elisa watches Candace Cameron time travel on a comet.
You start a new YouTube channel. Elisa watches Candace Cameron Bure.
Oh, I have ideas. Yeah. I have ideas, Rachel.
Yeah, I think it'd be a big hit.
You're inspiring me.
So Christmas Under Wraps, this was from 2014, and I think that like 2012 to 2015 was a really good time for Hallmark Christmas movies because it was before they really like ballooned out to like 40 movies. They were doing like 10.
So remember when I only watched 10 and now I don't know what happens between November and January?
Yeah. It's so like a blur.
Yeah. You all are so busy. And so, I mean, it's great. And there's so many movies to watch, but that's a huge difference.
Yeah. Let me see, 2014. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Wow.
They had 13 Christmas movies that year. And
you could have wrapped that up in a weekend.
I know. We'd be done by the end of October, right? But really, there were some great ones that year. 2014, One Starry Christmas is really good. The 9 Lives of Christmas is a fan favorite. They had North Pole. And it is nice that year they were still sort of embracing Santa Claus and Christmas magic.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one that I really dislike called the Angels and Ornaments.
I love it when you do that. You're just like, there's one, and you think you're gonna be like, oh, there's this one really cute one. And you're like, here's one I didn't like.
It was really bad.
I like that you don't just play up to like everything is good. Not everything is good, and that's the role of a critic. Good for you, Rachel.
Oh, thank you.
Wait, which one is it? So I can watch it.
Angels and Ornaments.
Okay.
It has this Grandpa Angel that I think is not my favorite.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm on board with that.
But then there's also One Christmas Eve, which is really funny. Mrs. Miracle is that year, which was really good. Christmas at Cartwright's. I mean, it's just a really good year. So anyway, this I think is emblematic of just the quality that they were doing for a long time. And I still defend them and think that they have a lot of quality movies.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something that almost all of the movies from, like, if I see something is from 2014 or 2015, I'm like, ooh, I bet it's a good one.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's kind of sort of the backstory of this movie to give you a context.
Can I just say something about that? Mm-hmm. That was amazing. You are so knowledgeable. And this is like, you remember the movies. I'm like, I don't remember what I did yesterday. And like, this is amazing. And like, I know you know stuff. That's not the thing. It's just, I just like to point it out as someone who knows nothing. Well, I feel like you're very informative and knowledgeable. And I imagine that is a large reason why people listen to you. And this is amazing. I love it.
Oh, well, thanks very much. That's very
like,
kind.
Bring this girl on. She doesn't know anything. We'll wow her with our knowledge.
Well, I mean, thank you to Wikipedia for your helpful. You make me look good.
You remember the movies. You're like, hated it. That one was cute. That one was funny. That one was bonkers. Like, that's awesome.
Thanks. Well, Christmas Under Wraps. So overall, what did you think about the movie? Did you enjoy it?
Well, okay, so now there's a lot of pressure knowing that listeners like voted for it, and then B, it's like the most favorite Christmas movie, highest ratings. Yeah. I liked everything except for the Santa thing at the end.
Oh, okay.
And we can, you can convince me. I'm willing to be swayed, but I was just like, because it felt so grounded in all these other ways, and then this felt so like magical, mm-hmm. and so sometimes I didn't think that fit. But I'm also an outsider. I grew up on Lifetime, so we're cynical. We're like, there's no Santa. If there's a Santa in your house, you're getting robbed, okay? Like, that's Lifetime for you. So I think it might be, am I too cynical? Is that like the cherry on top that everyone enjoys? But I really liked the story. Otherwise, I still liked that character. Like, I thought the casting was really great for this movie. I enjoyed all the side characters as well. Billy and Wyatt, yes, please. Can we have a spinoff?
And any children listening, guard your ears.
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh gosh, I've ruined everything. And this was the last time I was ever heard on Hallmarkies.
No, just kidding. So I can see that. I totally can. I think for me it feels refreshing because you just don't get the Christmas magic anymore. So it's like, I long for the day when they used to do things like that. I mean, the closest that we get is in maybe something like in the Evergreen movies. There, there's like a little allusion to it.
Yeah.
But I kind of miss it. Mm-hmm. But I get it. It does kind of feel a little out of nowhere. So I can understand that.
Well, I mean, I think there's things where you're like, wait, is he supposed to be Santa? But like, she's like not happy about having to go to this residency and stuff. So like it just seems like I was like, she just needs to be whipped into shape in Alaska where they don't need to worry about all these things that she worries about in Boston or wherever. And I was just ready for all the people to change her. I didn't need Santa to do it as well. But I mean, I guess if it's okay, I'm looking at our screen right now and it says Christmas Under Wraps. the title makes sense now.
Well, so one funny thing about this movie is that it was all filmed in Utah. It's not filmed in Alaska, obviously, but the whole thing was filmed in Utah, which I'm from Utah. People don't know.
You're like, that's
so
home.
This was Utah pretending to be Alaska. You know, a lot of times we get Vancouver pretending to be New York, but this is Utah pretending to be Alaska. And it is obviously not in Alaska. I've never been to Alaska, but I'm pretty sure that Alaska isn't that bright and that free from snow in the middle of the winter in December. And people barely have like a scarf on.
But then they were judging her scarf choices,
I know.
weren't they? The only thing I have to say is I feel like I saw, and this is the Lifetime person in me, I feel like I saw a movie, was Robin Williams, this might also be a spoiler, but it was like a serial killer movie where it was just like, it was like daylight for like 22 hours of the day, and I thought it took place in Alaska. Is that not a thing?
No, I thought that they didn't have very much light in Alaska in the winter. But I think it's in the summer that they have all the light.
Oh,
I could be wrong.
I don't know Alaska.
No. But I don't know. So if you are a listener from Alaska, please fill us in. We need to know.
Please correct us. We do not want to do you any harm.
No. And according to the IMDb, which I don't know how accurate that is, they said it says in IMDb, it says the movie takes place in December at a location north of Anchorage, Alaska. There's too much sunlight during the day. For instance, when Dr. Brunel's alarm goes off at 6:30 a.m., it should be dark. The room is flooded with sunlight. So, who knows? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. But I just feel like everything, they should have like, I've seen enough episodes of Ice Road Truckers that like you need lots more layers and you need more clothes.
Well, and I was like, who's wearing heels in that? When she finally got the boots, I was like, now I'm on board. Who's going to Alaska like in pumps? Like, I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying Alaska folks are like, we just never wear anything that,
Yeah.
But I just think whatever. But on the way there and in an airplane and you've never been there before, put on some boots.
But I think this just checks off so many Hallmark boxes in the fact that it's about somebody falling in love with a small town. Mm-hmm. It's about obviously a romance. You have your man with many jobs who's like good at everything. You have, which is classic.
Sorry, but it just kind of cracks me up.
Yeah. and you have a little bit of Christmas magic. Christmas makes everything better, and so I think it checks off a lot of boxes. I'm curious for your thoughts. So it starts out the movie with her. She has put all of her eggs in this basket of getting this fellowship, like a residency kind of thing, where her father got his residency, got his start as a surgeon. And so that's been her dream. She's a big planner. And we've seen that a lot in a number of these films we've talked about with kind of planning versus spontaneity kind of a thing. And so she has it all planned out. And her mother is very concerned because she doesn't feel like she's, that her daughter is kind of creating her own path and her own ideas. And you work in a college setting where you're advising students on a regular basis. And how do you feel about that kind of a thing? Do you think that, I don't know, what kind of advice would you give to this character? Do you think, well, it's fine for her to have a plan, and it's good for her to have a plan, but also it doesn't necessarily need to be the same plan as her father? What do you think about that dynamic?
Yeah, that's a great question. And well, first off, I would say at my university, shout out to all the advising folks, because there's advising at different levels. And I primarily advise communication majors and minors. And so what I would say to this person is, this is what I say to all students. And I think students who come to me wanting some assistance with what to do in life or what they should do next. And she is much more, I have a plan person. And, and certainly she's in, medical school and doing the residency and so on and so forth. So she's a little bit older than undergrads. And so they might not always know what they want to do, but I always tell the students, what is best for you? What do you want to do? What is going to make you happy? What is going to be, because sometimes you get students who are enrolled into majors because that's what their parents want them to do, or they will enroll in majors because they'll make the most money that way. And there isn't necessarily anything wrong with that, except that if you only go to work for money, what does that mean? Or if you are going to do something to please another person, like how long in that job will that last? And I think it is a privilege and a luxury to say that when people say that they love their job, right? You know, not everyone says that. Most people wake up and they're like, oh, God,
yeah,
another day, right? But my advice, well, first off, I wrote in my notes, I was like, you only applied to one place.
Yeah, there is sort of this idea that like backup plans are for suckers, kind of of an idea.
Backup plans are smart,
but I think that you need them. I think that that just because you know that you have a backup plan shouldn't make you work less hard to get your number one spot. It should just, you just need a backup plan.
I had a couple issues in it, and it could be part of my professional opinion, but it also obviously personal. But I had like issues with it because when you only go for one thing, you could be setting yourself up for failure. And it was like a crushing blow to her. And like, I'm going to bring up Scott too. Like, I get what Scott was saying, but you never invite anyone out to dinner and then break up with them at dinner. Like, that's not how you do things, because she thought she was about to be engaged to, just like in Legally Blonde. And I'm like, why are you folks, Scott and what's his face from Legally Blonde, why are you taking someone out to dinner to be like, I'm breaking up with you? Because if people think that that's a way to like butter someone up or make them feel better, no, that is not it. But I also, like, I get Scott, like, she wasn't just, her plan included him, but it wasn't a plan together. So she's so hard bent on this plan that she has to have. And it seemed like something that her dad was pleased with, and maybe she's pleasing her dad, but her mom seemed a little concerned. Like, you could be a doctor, but you don't have to do it the same way your dad did. That's still pretty awesome because you're a doctor. And like, how do you know that's exactly what you want to do if that's always been, she's so planned that she's never trying anything else out or experiencing anything else. And, you know, sometimes those experiences shape, like, the way I thought I'd be a teacher 20 years ago. Is that math right? Ish. Okay. To now is completely different. And it comes from teaching at Michigan State, at Penn State, at Mansfield University, which is a teaching school, and the other ones are research schools, and then teaching at Central. I had the opportunity to learn from other people. Students teach you a lot, take professional development. And if I always had a plan, right? Like, I always make this joke in class. So 12 years ago, this month, around this date, I had a job interview at the University of Tennessee. And let's say that was my one plan, like Candace Cameron, hooray. Well, I'm still waiting to hear whether or not I got the job. Because I did the 2-day interview on campus and never received a letter, email, or phone call. And maybe I'm not trying to put down, I mean, Tennessee's a great school, the department's a great school, and, you know, they're probably like, she figured it out. Or maybe someone forgot or whatever. It's fine. It's still funny to joke about in class. But 12 years ago, I was crying my eyes out thinking this was my only job that I'd be able to get. And if I stayed there, what would I be doing? Versus like, you have to pick up, you have to keep going. There's going to be other opportunities. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. You can put your eggs in a couple different baskets, and then you might have lots of choices. And then you can choose something that's like super what you want to do. So really I had lots of issues at the beginning. I was like, oh, what did Rachel get me into? I was taking notes like on my phone. I was like, and then I'd move over to my laptop, open up my notes there, got something else to say.
Well, she has to learn. There's a character arc here, and she starts out, and I guess it's interesting because I started out like the first half of my life, I was a planner in that I was going to go to BYU. I was going to, get my degree at BYU. That was the big dream.
Yeah.
And then I did it. And then I was kind of like, well, what do I do now? I have no idea. And it was really hard. And I ended up in, making some not the best choices because I just didn't know what to do. And I just kind of, well, I'll take this job. And then I was stuck in this job that I hated. And now the sort of the second part of my life has been kind of in a gig type economy type of work where I have my part-time job. I have my podcast, that I'm trying to work into, regular income. I have, and so it's kind of like, I have career goals, but I don't really have career goals. My goal is just every single, what's coming up next week? Yeah. What's coming up next month? What?
Remember when I said I couldn't remember what I did yesterday? Yeah. When I wake up tomorrow, I'll look at my calendar on my phone and be like, oh, this is what's going on today.
Yeah. Like literally it's okay. Here's on the Rachel's review side. Here's the movie. I got to, Raya and the Last Dragon's coming up next month. Yep. I've been thinking about that. And then on the Hallmark side, thinking about Spring Fling and start all those kinds of things. And it's how I'm able to get so much done is that literally I just think, okay, here's my day, and I divide it into units. It's kind of like in About a Boy when he talks about
oh my god, that's exactly what I was just thinking, but I didn't know if I should say it as an example. Oh my god.
And that's kind of how I live my life, and it's how I'm able to get so much done is that pretty much every hour of my life is either sleeping or eating, and then everything else is something to do with some aspect of my work, and whether it's writing or watching or recording or interviewing or whatever. And so I don't know, it's just interesting because I can't really relate very much anymore to that kind of career long-term planning, because and even in my job that I have for my part-time job that I do, it has continually evolved. Right now I'm basically a full-time or part-time blogger for the company I work for, but a couple of years ago I was doing something totally different, and so it just keeps changing. And sometimes my boss will say, what are your goals for the year? And I'm just kind of like, I don't know.
How are things changing? You tell me.
My goal is to keep you happy and to do whatever is required. That is my goal.
Well, here's the thing. Like, as I listen to you talk, I feel like I have to amend my previous grievances with Cameron. Can I say her name? Candace Cameron Bure, because when I was in college, I didn't plan anything. I didn't even plan to go to college. Like, it wasn't that I wasn't going to college. I just didn't do all the things that you see in TV and movies, and I guess in real life what people actually do. And I ended up going to community college, and then I was like, well, I like this communication class. I guess I'll transfer to Michigan State. Oh, we're in a recession. I guess I'll stay here. Okay, well, now I guess my career path is a professor. And so I didn't plan anything. And I'm telling my seniors about this, like, okay, my biggest mistakes is this. And then I'm listening to you, and I'm like, yeah, Rachel gets a lot done. Maybe Rachel needs to train you on how to be organized into these units so that I can get more done.
I think things are really changing a lot. I think a lot more people are kind of living on the gig economy, and they're even people that are professional, like doctors and lawyers and things like that, I think are moving away from, because you can work from home, because we need to work from home at this time, other things like that. The idea of sort of locking yourself to the corporate culture of whatever it is that you're doing, I think is changing. And in a lot of careers and a lot of and it is, I love it. And but anyway, getting back to the movie, the the breakup scene I think is really weird, because he says to her, love is inconvenient. He says, you're checking off a to-do list. Love is inconvenient, and I want you to feel something. And I don't know if I necessarily agree. I don't think that love needs to be inconvenient. I think that I think there are times where it just It's natural. It's a fit. It works. It's the way it's supposed to be.
Oh,
And you know
Scott.
it. And I don't think it needs to be like difficult.
I feel like he found the lyrics to a song or like a card in a card shop and was just
That's so true.
This just seems like the right message to give now. And like, I agree with him in that she is checking, like when he said, it's your plan, it's not our plan, that I'm on board for. But this sort of like, it needs to be inconvenient and so on and so forth. Like, why does it have to be hard? And additionally, like historically, in terms of love, like if you think about men and women's romantic relationships, men had more of a luxury to look for relationships because of love, whereas like women might have been looking for not only a husband but a father, a provider, and that sort of thing. And so I'm like, okay, Scott, with your luxuries and privileges,
it does kind of sound like it does sound kind of like a John Bon Jovi song, doesn't it? Love's inconvenient.
It's an 80s ballad of heartbreak.
Oh my gosh. So she ends up finding out that there is this, she gets dumped, then she doesn't get the fellowship. So it's a tough day to be whatever her name is.
Candace Cameron Bure.
And the I think her name is Andy in the movie.
No, that was his name.
Oh no, that's his name. Billy.
No, that was the nurse.
Oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. Lauren.
It's Candace
Her name
Cameron.
is Lauren.
Yeah, she was. Do you know how many times they said Dr. Lauren Burrell and we could not remember that? That is so funny.
So CCB was a tough day for her, and but she's edged out because of the out of the box thinking of the other applicant who had done the Doctors Without Borders.
It's not exactly out of the box thinking. I feel like
I don't think it's really that much.
I was like, wow, that is a really rigid box.
Yeah. And so she doesn't get it, but there is an opening at Garland, Alaska. And she's like, well, that's out of the box. And I do think it's actually way more out of the box than Doctors Without Borders.
But I feel like when she first does it, she's like, oh, this is how I can check my box. And then that made me feel like gross about it because I was like, oh, Alaska needs Garland needs their doctor. And then the dad was like, oh, you only be there a couple weeks. And why is her dad doing so much to help her? I was like, maybe let her figure it out on her own.
Yeah.
Let's keep nepotism and other connections.
Well, he's not really helping her all that much. It seems like he's making her feel like he will solve the problem, but not really. And but anyway, so she goes to Garland, and I did think it was pretty funny when she meets Andy there at the airport, and it's just like, "Where's the car? 300 miles north." That made me laugh. They probably would tell her that she has to take a small, commuter plane to the town, I would think.
Oh, puddle jumper is what I remember those being called when you have like those little, even smaller, like you're like, oh, I'm flying out of this town to go to Chicago. Here, it's basically a bike with wings.
Those planes make me so nervous because
scary.
I know I've only been in a glider plane one time. I got so sick.
Yeah.
There's nothing, it's not even comparable to any kind of commercial plane, which I don't get sick in those very rarely. But a glider plane, it was bad. It was bad. But anyway, so this is a fake town of Garland, Alaska. They made it up. It's not real. But
I kind of want to go to that diner. And I like the hospital. She's like, I have to go for rounds. Like, it's a house. Calm down.
I know. It's not really a hospital. I guess they have people staying overnight and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like just a doctor's office.
Yeah,
really.
It's like Virgin River, but maybe a little bit bigger.
It really is.
Yeah.
It is. And you have this big business in town called Holiday Shipping. It's very, very, very sneaky and of what is going on there. And they say she says, I would have loved that as a kid, holiday shipping and all the Christmas, and he says, only as a kid.
Yeah, first
Yeah,
clue, Elisa.
First clue. I love in these movies how if you get a fancy coffee order, you are not good. It is
I'm like,
the only way that a fancy coffee order is good is if it's like peppermint.
Yes.
Or like some kind of Christmassy with sprinkles or something like that. Then that's like okay. But if you come into a store and you order a latte, ooh,
you are in trouble. Like you better like your coffee black.
Yeah. Nobody in this town has heard of non-fat milk. That is unheard of.
Well, here's the thing. What? Like, so yeah, it starts out, right? It's like she can't get her latte coffee, and then like before she leaves, her mom's like, you're gonna have to get winter clothes, and she's like, I'll just get it when I get there. And I was like, you're going to Garland, Alaska. What are we talking about there? And it's like a store that has everything, clothes, food, etc., right? But when
this
I saw
store has sweatpants and jeans.
I was like, I'm interested. But when I saw the holiday or Christmas shipping, or what's the place called?
Holiday shipping.
I was like, how can't she get stuff there? Like all of her online orders get canceled. But I was like, there's a shipping place right in town because Lifetime Elisa wasn't up on the red flags or the clues that they were giving that Santa Claus is in Garland, Alaska.
Yeah, I mean, come on. And in her very first conversation, she's told, when you grow up here, you learn that making plans is a waste of time. So that is again such a hallmark theme of you come to the small town, you fall in love with the small town, and you learn that your big city ways are foolish and should be abandoned.
Well, what was the line they kept saying? That's Garland for you.
That's Garland for you. Yeah. That's right. And and so then she meets Billy that's the nurse at the hospital, and there's 4 other employees. And Billy is friends with a guy named Wyatt, and he is the local florist, which I'm very proud of Garland for having having enough to support. They never heard of non-fat milk, but they have a florist.
That's why I was like, where do those flowers come from if Amazon can't get there with Candace Cameron Bure's clothes? Why? Where are these flowers coming from? And I'm like,
year round. I mean, I can understand because they have a lot of growth in Alaska in the summer.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. But I mean, I don't know about flowers, but yeah,
that was cute.
It's pretty funny.
Like,
it's so cute.
The like Wyatt was like delivering all the flowers, so everyone who gets like admitted, or like the rumors of the small town or the information of the small town spreads like wildfire, and then there's Wyatt with flowers. I just admitted that person. Oh well, that's Garland for you.
Yeah. I loved the whole Billy and Wyatt. Super cute little side romance.
I just liked all of I liked Billy as like that was the closest thing I think besides Andy that Candace Cameron Bure had as a friend there. Like it was like the town were her friends, you know what I mean? Like all the people there, and that was really cool to see. Like they were so welcoming her, and that even though her weird beverage at the coffee shop was something bonkers, they still were gonna order the fat-free or the low-fat milk for her. And I was like, see, that's cool. That's like looking out for your people. And I loved that. So you got Billy, and then you have Wyatt, a potential.
Well, and it's just always fun to have like a cute little side romance in these movies.
Yes.
And here's the question though, Lisa. Did you know that just because you wrap something around your neck, that doesn't make it a scarf? I think they should put that on a pillow. And I laughed when she's like, it's a pashmina. You mean a whatcha?
She's like, it's a fancy scarf.
And so, yeah, they get her hooked up with the right kinds of
Boots.
jeans and with a sweater and a couple sweaters and a proper scarf, which really didn't look that different. I guess
No,
the one was made of wool and the other wasn't.
Here's the thing. Except for those boots that she had on, everything else just looked like one level up. It did not look like
Right. Like when I think of Alaska, I think of, like I said, ice road truckers with their like giant, puffy coats and stuff like that.
Here's the thing. I don't know if I know enough about Alaska to judge about the temperature, but they kept saying that it was cold, and I was like, that sweater is so thin. And that jacket doesn't look warm enough. And this is coming from someone who lives in Michigan, and I'm telling you, no. That's a hard no. You need many layers.
Yes, that's
many
true.
layers.
I lived in Indiana, up northern Indiana for a while for winters, so I can attest to that. But anyway, so Andy, it turns out he used to be an architect in Seattle, and she's just mystified by how could you leave Seattle? Seattle's so great, and he's like, well, I like being home, and so now he's the town handyman, and like I said, classic man with many jobs, because that's like the ultimate contrast to the man of business.
Yes.
The man of business is the villain in most Hallmark movies, for the most part. Yeah, Scott.
And 3 lines that came from a John Bon Jovi song.
Yeah, and whereas the man of many jobs, he is just like great at everything and isn't tied down to business, and so you see that, and this is just a great example. He's like the electrician.
Yeah.
He's kind of a quasi vet at times. He's helping his dad with the business. He's picking people up. He's the chauffeur. I mean, he's everything.
He was making some wood sign with her name on it outside the hospital. Like she was like, you're everywhere. It's like,
and that is the archetypal Hallmark hunk. Yeah. Is your man who's like great at everything, is gonna like take care of you, is really like loves Christmas, loves you, of course, loves his family. That is the
Talk
dream
about
boat.
checking boxes.
No,
I don't remember seeing him in a movie before.
I have never seen anything else with him either.
I liked him. Like, he wasn't the hunkiest hunk I've seen on Hallmark's No Offense guy who played Andy, but I thought, like, I thought he that's the other thing is, like, y'all have to come in and you got to handle yourself across from CCB. And I thought did it. Like, I enjoyed it. I liked him. I was like, that's Garland, Alaska for you. It's going to be Andy. And I thought like they were good together. I liked it. When he got her roses and he had the explanation for it, I made a note and I said, good job, Andy. Because she had gotten all these flowers from people around town at the hospital, but no one had gotten her roses. He checked with Wyatt to see, and she had told him in a previous conversation about stopping and smelling the roses. And I was like, dude, yes.
I do appreciate that they didn't go with opposites attract, enemies to lovers in this one. They pretty much are interested in each other right away.
Well, she's kind of snooty, which is nice. And he kind of is like, well, that's Garland for you.
Yeah, very, like, maybe the first conversation, but pretty early on, they're interested in each other. He asks her out, and
I mean, when he first saw her, like, he was shocked. I think, like, oh my goodness, this is the new doctor. I thought, like, what I was thinking, he was like, oh, she's beautiful. That's what I thought right away. So I think he liked her right away, and it might have taken her a day or two, but then I think she was on board. And once she got her black coffee at the shop, maybe I think things started to kind of turn around.
Yeah.
She met Santa before she knew it was Santa.
Frank is eating cookies for breakfast. Very scandalous, but what I would
clue.
Very much. And then you have her scene when she goes to eat dinner at Frank's house. you see the there's like mysterious elves around, right?
Yeah, what was that? That was kind of like horror movie creepy. I was like, what is happening? I was like, is someone about to jump out and like grab her? That was that. Okay, I kind of got like, has anyone told you look like Santa? And then he's eating cookies. And okay, but the creepy kids running around? What is this? Children of
those
the
are
Corn?
the employees. And you have the did you like the guy who comes in who hurt his hand with the hammer? And it's like,
about?
what? And then he brings out this like little tiny hammer, and he's like, "It's a toy making tool."
Too much information.
It's
that
great.
was like a serious injury. I was like, oh my God, what did you do with that hammer?
We just want to take a break from the show just to have a little check-in before we go on in the show. So we actually want to talk about our sponsor for this week, BetterHelp. In 2021, it's definitely okay to talk about your mental health, about your happiness. Humans aren't meant to keep everything inside. It can make us sick, and therapy helps. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now. Maybe you need some tools to help. Maybe you've got stress, insecurity, problems in your relationship, are not dealing well with things going on in your life. And that's what therapy can be.
And whatever you need, don't be ashamed, because normal humans struggle and they start to feel better, and that's okay. It's good to start to feel better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers you video, phone, or a live chat session with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to.
The good thing is BetterHelp is much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join millions of people who are seeing what therapy is really about. See if it's for you, because you are your greatest asset.
So this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Hallmarkies podcast listeners can get 10% off of their first month of Better at betterhelp.com/Hallmarkies. That's betterhelp.com/Hallmarkies.
Then you have Rudy hurts his leg and can't walk. She's freaking out. She goes, and Rudy is, of course, a reindeer.
Or a caribou.
Or a caribou. And it's really cute. I think it's hilarious.
But I'm also like, I would think that a place like Garland might have a vet, so... Or it would have been cute if Andy was the vet and she was the doctor, but it was like a big case, so he needed her help. I got rewrites, Hallmark. Let's re-release it.
I
2020 or 2021.
She's just trying to figure out, is this, what is this Christmas town? What's going on? So fun. And I loved how as soon as she saves Rudy, everyone is just like, every room that she goes into, everyone just stands up and claps. Like,
yeah. Is that when she got the flowers? Sorry, I talked about that out of order.
She got the flowers, and no, it's fine. And so yes, then Andy comes and invites her on a midnight picnic in the Northern Lights. And this is when he tells her Seattle was fun, but Garland is my home. Mm-hmm. I always knew I belonged here. And he loves being the town handyman. So there you go. And we get a pretty early kiss in this movie with the Northern Lights. That's
pretty nice setting.
Pretty exciting. Yeah. And it's funny because they keep dropping hints of like, this is the busy season, and Frank needs to be available on Christmas Eve for the festival, quote unquote. And she's just like, why do you need to be like, everything's closed on Christmas Eve? I'm like, come on, you're
hey, listen, it's a shipping company. I'm like, they're probably still busy. It's like the Postal Service. Those poor folks were out there delivering stuff at 8:00 at night, being sure everyone got all their packages. So I'm still like, I kind of get the hints, but I'm not exactly picking up what they're putting down every single time.
And then Andy takes her to go get a tree, and they have a tree decorating scene, which is cute. And because in this era of Hallmark movies, they were very kind of snooty about natural trees.
Oh.
That you don't see it quite as much since Balsam Hill is the sponsor, but that was like a big like the if you were a kind of a bad person from the city, you had a fake tree. And even worse, if you have a silver or like a white tree, that's
whoa. Well,
really
I don't
bad.
have that. I do have a fake tree, but I also rent. So I'm always in the business of not having a real tree when I rent because I don't want anything to burn down.
Sure, right. Yeah. And I mean, I just can't by myself deal with a real tree.
That's
they're
too
too heavy and they're too for me by myself. But anyway, and so that's a cute little sequence though. And then she goes to do a house call, an office call to Frank, and she overhears them talking. And how will she accept the news? And I really like this girl, and all this thing. She's like, what?
Scandal is what she thought was happening.
Yeah, the big Christmas news. And I wonder if he will start to like grow once he takes over the family business, if he will start to grow like a white beard like that.
Oh, Andy.
Yeah. I hope so.
I thought Santa was Santa forever.
I mean, he's having all these health problems, so.
Oh no! Well, stop eating cookies. Yeah. But Santa's supposed to eat cookies. It's where he gets part of his spirit from, right?
Yeah.
The sprinkles.
I mean, you think at least on Christmas Eve he would be like free from calories. You know, I don't know how the magic works.
I don't either. Clearly, I didn't even notice all the hints. My life is not full of magic.
So then you have she finds out that she got the fellowship after all.
Boo.
And she says, I can't imagine, like, she's throwing all that hard work away and all that hard work and preparation. She throw it in these, like, for me. Would you throw it away for me? And it's like, I don't know. And that's something they've definitely kind of moved away from. I mean, this is not too bad because she has a good option in Garland, right? It's not like she's choosing the man over career. Like she's just picking a different career than she thought that she would take. So I think it's fine in this case, but they definitely are kind of moving away in Hallmark from that whole, well, I'm going to abandon my job in the city and be with you, my high school boyfriend kind of thing. I think they're moving away from that, which
thank you.
I think that's good. But here it's pretty good. And she says, I love to stop time so I could be here and still go. And so
is that something that Christmas shipping can do with their magic?
Maybe
their little hammers and whatnot.
Yeah, and so he's going to take her to the plane to go back. On their way, they find out that Frank has had a heart incident. So they head back. And she says, sometimes our plans don't work out for the better. And then we also find out that Andy's now ready to take control of the family business.
No, it's going to start turning into Santa. It becomes the Santa Claus.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to grow a beard like Tim Allen.
It's the prequel.
Yeah.
Origin story.
And she says, I think staying in Garland makes me happy. And Frank says, I need to be off for Christmas Eve. Get me out of this hospital right now. And so he is there at the festival and then is off to do his work. So it's very exciting. And his Garland doesn't have everything I need when you're not here. You have to be here. So then they end up happily ever after, and she's decided to stay in Garland, and she's gonna be Mrs. Claus, and it's very exciting.
Well,
and she better learn how to make cookies really quick.
Well, at the end, like the first part when I thought it was the end, I was like, so wait, is he Santa? And then you see him like flying off in the little like sleigh or whatever. But at first I thought they just hung it on like a cliffhanger, like we're not going to give you a definitive answer. And I was like, what?
Yeah, they never actually like say like this is Santa, but like it's obviously like he needs to be out on the 24th. They're making all the toys. I mean, it's the family business. So
that's Garland for you.
That's Garland for you. And so yeah, I think it's a really cute movie. I think if you want to watch just an archetypal Hallmark Christmas movie, this is a really good choice. It's got Christmas. It's got like I said, city girl coming to the country, falling in love with small town life. You've got a festival. You've got lots of cookie baking and
no cookie crawl, but whatever.
No cookie crawl. But yeah, you have just lots of those tropes of the genre, and CCB is the queen of Hallmark. She does a great job.
I do love her. Loved her ever since the original Full House, and this is finally got Rachel to show me one.
I know. I'm so late.
But I liked what I liked about it was that it focuses on her, and yes, there's romance and that sort of thing, but like sometimes I think too much that takes over, or the romance is the whole story, but it was about the town. And I just loved, and I would love to see more of like that community. And I think the Evergreen movie we watched had some of that in there. But one thing I will say, from my fresh lens, I had two thoughts. One, when Billy denies that her and Wyatt are not a relationship, she's like, no, we're just friends. And I take offense to that, because there's nothing wrong with being friends. There's nothing just about it. But also, like, everybody, including you and Wyatt, know that you're into each other. So just stop lying to yourself. So that was the first one. Number two, I also feel like when we go through life, like these big decisions to make, and we plan and we have goals and that sort of thing. And the only thing that we really see with like her doctor side of things prior to Garland is a couple of like her classmates. And I just want to be like, are there no friends telling you to like apply for something else? Or what about this? Or did you think about that? CCB.
It's just mainly her parents.
Exactly.
And you see that she does the surgery, the appendicitis, the appendectomy at the beginning. And she talks about laparoscopic surgery and how, and which I can relate, because I've actually had that surgery. I can relate to that. But
my appendix burst, so I was like, please help people with appendicitis. It was not fun.
Yeah, I mean, it is I think it is a pretty big difference between being a surgeon and being a family doctor. But yeah, no, I can see that that she was just so focused. Maybe she didn't really have time for friends, or didn't have a lot of friends. I don't know. But they definitely
maybe make time for those. And I bet if we went back to Garland, Alaska, and she hasn't
maybe that's part of their. Yeah, maybe that's part of the reason why her mother's so concerned.
Yeah, I'm with her mom on this, because maybe if we were to go back to see like a sequel to this, for example, like they go back to Garland, I bet that she is like really good friends with Billy and maybe another nurse, and then the woman at the diner. And like, here's the thing, for such a small town, and for like not having lattes and stuff, there are a lot of young people walking around looking like it was like Salt Lake City or something. Like you said, it was in Utah, but like there are people looking fancy. And I was like, hey, there goes someone you can be a friend with. Oh, that girl looks like, same age. Go talk to her. I was like trying to friend matchmake while she's walking down the street in Garland. But overall, I did like it. Clearly, I probably need to watch it again to catch up more on the Christmas magic. And that's exactly like you said. This is sort of the archetype, like this is the one that you want to watch. And now I need to look out for that, because I apparently just don't have enough magic in my life.
Well, and I it was really fun to watch a holiday film off season. I just
Did you get enough?
I know. I still it makes me so happy. Yeah. I was having kind of a not the best day. I wasn't feeling great. And I put on Christmas Under Wraps, and I was like, oh, it's so happy. It's so great.
It did make me feel
There's
very
something
happy.
Special. There's something very special about watching these movies off season. It's it's really fun.
Well, ever since you invited me to watch movies with you, I can tell you that I see a difference between how I feel when I watch Hallmark or Hallmark adjacent movies than I do when I watch my usual standard whatnots, right? Like feeling so stressed. And then there was like a Saturday night where I watched like 2 of them and I was like, why do I feel so like comfy and cash and happy? And I was like, oh, because I'm not watching stressful true crime or watching the news. I get it now.
Yeah, it really is relaxing. It's just a fun way to kind of unwind. So there we go. That's our thoughts on Christmas Under Wraps. It's a fun little movie. And so let us know what you think of Christmas Under Wraps and put it in the comments section or on Twitter. We would love to hear your thoughts. Yes. And so, Elisa, where can people find you and your podcasts?
Yes, you can find me at Dr. Elisa Lucas on Twitter and elisalucas.com. And then Best Forever's Pod on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Best Forever's Pod at Gmail. That's where you can find me.
Great. Yeah, you should all definitely check it out. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check all of that out. And also make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please give all of our podcasts, please give them your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate it. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group, which is a lot of fun. And we have watch-alongs and other fun stuff. So check that out. And then also check out our merch store, which has tons of Hallmark-inspired and other movie-inspired merch. So take a look over there. And thanks again. And we'll wish you all a Merry Christmas in February.
Merry Christmas in February, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.